Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is literally a game changer for how we think about economics. We're neutrally unpacking Dr. C. Gothanda Moorthy's 2025 proposal for a completely new, mathematically driven indirect tax framework. If you've ever looked at how different products are taxed and thought, wow, this is incredibly chaotic, well, you definitely aren't alone. This proposal aims to take all that chaos and replace it with a highly structured, use-based framework. So let's get comfortable and break down exactly how this proposed system works. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover the indirect tax problem, the use-based tax principle, dive deep into the 1-5-10-20 framework, look at the systemic advantages, and wrap up with implementation and the future vision. All right, Section 1, the indirect tax problem. So we really have to start by asking ourselves why indirect taxes are famously such a nightmare to navigate. Well, according to the proposal, the key issue is that our modern systems suffer from massive structural deficiencies. It's wild, but tiny, seemingly insignificant tweaks to a product's branding, packaging, or presentation can trigger massive tax differences. Because the rules are so incredibly fragmented, companies constantly argue over how to classify their goods, and that just leads to endless litigation, intense lobbying pressure, and a total lack of compliance certainty. It's kind of like a giant puzzle where the two extremes completely fail us. Look at the left side here. Excessive slab fragmentation creates pure chaos. You get administrative inefficiency and constant legal disputes over definitions. But then, on the right, the alternative, a single rate system is honestly just as bad. It fails to distinguish between basic essentials and a luxury purchase. That unfairly punishes lower income folks by treating everyday necessities exactly the same as high-end lifestyle products. Ultimately, that hurts affordability and can even reduce overall tax collection. Not great, right? Moving right along to Section 2, the use-based tax principle. This foundational quote from the author really hits the nail on the head. He argues that taxation shouldn't obsess over arbitrary product fragments or tiny packaging details. Instead, taxation should reflect use. It should function as, in quote, organized circulation structure. What does that actually mean for us? It means classifying goods based on their productive use, their level of necessity, and the actual degree of engineering transformation they've gone through. Is it a raw material, or is it a fully processed luxury item? That is what should determine the tax rate. Okay, Section 3, the 1-5-10-20 framework. This is the core of the blueprint. This table right here elegantly synthesizes the entire proposal into 4 incredibly logical slabs. Notice how the logic is grounded entirely in a product's economic function and its target segment, rather than confusing legal loopholes. It smoothly ranges from minimizing friction at the 1% level all the way up to concentrating revenue at the 20% level. Let's mentally walk up this tax ladder together. You can see how the tax rate is designed to dynamically scale alongside the degree of a product's engineering transformation. You start down at raw materials, step up to essentials, move to standard goods, and finally cap out at luxury consumption. Let's look at each step a bit more closely. At the absolute bedrock, we have the 1% slab. This covers your foundational productive inputs. We're talking agricultural grains, raw vegetables, cotton, ores, natural fibers, and timber. And why just 1%? Well, because heavy taxation at the raw stage literally propagates down the entire supply chain. It inflates manufacturing, logistics, retail pricing, and ultimately the final cost to the consumer. By strictly keeping this at 1%, the system minimizes cascading inflation and ensures strong production continuity. Stepping up to 5%, this tier is absolutely crucial for preserving affordability. The point here is that certain engineered products are essential for just participating in modern life. This slab covers basic household goods like your standard fans, entry-level refrigerators, water purifiers. It also captures educational tablets, bicycles, and essential medical devices. Keeping these at 5% ensures that healthcare, education, and basic utilities remain widely accessible across all income levels. Next up, the 10% slab acts as the primary backbone of the entire system. This captures standard engineered goods. Think general electronics, furniture, machinery, tools, and standard packaged products. It's the standard taxation layer that perfectly balances affordability with administrative simplicity. For businesses, this means stable, predictable commercial expectations. And for the government, it means consistent revenue generation from general consumer goods. Finally, at the very top, the 20% slab concentrates revenue generation entirely on those with the highest capacity to pay. This targets luxury and discretionary consumption. These are items with lower survival importance, right? We're looking at designer goods, premium vehicles, luxury hospitality, and high-end lifestyle services. It's a smart way to protect the lower consumption layers from a heavy tax burden while ensuring the whole structure stays equitable. Section 4. Advantages of the system. Replacing those highly fragmented product-level distinctions with these use-oriented categories offers massive structural benefits. It structurally reduces the accounting burden for businesses, which means way simpler invoicing and bookkeeping. And because the logic is just so much simpler, it naturally improves reporting accuracy and lowers accidental noncompliance. It dramatically cuts down on litigation over ambiguous categories. And simultaneously, it strengthens the whole economy by reducing tax friction on raw materials, all while actively preserving affordability for everyday people. And finally, Section 5, Implementation and Future Vision. Because let's be real, companies will try to artificially modify a product just to sneak it into a lower tax bracket. To stop that, the proposal strongly recommends some robust defenses. First, a centralized functional classification registry, so there is one definitive public rulebook. Second, stable, periodic, evidence-based revisions to end the era of unpredictable tax changes. And third, strict anti-reclassification safeguards, which includes rigorous audits applied right at the point of classification. Ultimately, the long-term goal of this framework is a total paradigm shift. It seeks to transition indirect taxation away from just being an arbitrary, fragmented tool to extract revenue. Instead, the vision is an organized system that builds systemic trust. It aims to seamlessly serve both the government's fiscal goals and the citizens' social affordability needs, without sacrificing either. Looking at how logically this framework connects a 1% raw agricultural material all the way up to a 20% premium luxury vehicle, I have to leave you with this final thought. Does replacing arbitrary interpretation with mathematically structured use-based slabs make sense to you? I invite you to wonder, does this structured blueprint hold the key to a fairer, more efficient economic future, or will the complexities of the real world get in the way? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating explainer with me, and definitely keep questioning how our systems are built.